Today I'd like to talk about the upcoming ESF changes scheduled for the July roadmap. I'm just going to go through the list of that's been published and explain what's good, what's bad, what I think needs changing. Let's get to it. Lock-on adjustments. All anti-air lock-on weapons will become maintained on lock. Alright, yeah. It's an interesting change, I suppose. Makes lock-ons more interesting. I can't complain about that. One question though, will it track through terrain and things? We could use some rough specifics on how this will work. The closer a target is, the faster it will acquire a lock. Alright, this could be ridiculous. So long as you don't go to an extreme with how quick and how slow it is, it should be fine. Lock-on missiles will travel faster. Yep, that's reasonable. Lock-on lifespan will be reduced to around 5 seconds. Yeah, that's good. Overall, I think a lot of people are going, "Oh, lock-ons being nerfed, hooray!" When, yeah, it's really not how it is at all. Some people have just not really pictured this as it will be, or as I believe it will be. All these changes could make them a good deal more powerful. It's quite hard to see, because at the moment, let's talk about air-to-air lock-ons. At the moment, they're used for maybe getting some damage in the beginning of a dogfight or at the end when they're fleeing. With these changes, it seems it might be possible to use them in between. Mid-fight, say just a couple of seconds, pop, bang, easy, like half damage. So I think they'll need some testing, but it seems like you're going the right way with it. Feedback changes. Players who lock onto you on fire will be spotted for you. Good. A lock-on display will show a number indicating how many different sources are locking onto you. Great. The lock-on display will indicate what type of weapons is locking on or / locked on. Splendid. This is actually quite a big sort of hit for them, because it could make evasion a lot easier. Just the knowledge of knowing that it's ground to air can make it so much easier to evade. You could just fly low, and it's very difficult to maintain a lock in that altitude for them. Missiles that are locked onto you will display on the minimap. Alright, yep. Lock-on indicator will display in third-person camera. Splendid. Other changes. We'll be fixing some lock-on missile bugs and making improvements for lock-on missiles being represented more accurately to remote clients. Splendid. Flares. Based on how the above changes work, flares may be adjusted. I've been thinking about this, and I do agree that they may need some adjusting, but I'm having trouble imagining how they should be changed. Perhaps you could just decrease the cooldown by 5 seconds across the board, so that would leave us with 15 seconds of vulnerability between uses. Yeah, this may not be necessary at all, though. I'm just speculating. Bug with stealth certifications not always granting the lock-on reduction buff will be fixed. Good. Experience changes. Players will be rewarded with kills and assists for players that suicide or log off. Good. Yep. I'm not really certain about how reliable these will be. Well, to me, it seems like it might be quite a hard thing to calculate reliably. But I don't know. I'm just spitballing. And one more thing is, what happens to crashed players? If they disconnected? Same thing, or yeah. ESF weapons. They all sound interesting. They definitely need a good deal of testing. The only one I'm not really that keen on is the Coyote missiles. Oh, not more lock-ons, please. Please. I'm quite disappointed that bombs aren't in, but I can understand that. They would be much more fitting for a Liberator or a Galaxy. And I prefer the models shown here are referral variants for the rocket pods and the lock-ons. They don't really seem to fit any of the new weapons. Yeah, alright. They're pretty boring though. External fuel tank certification line. Yeah, I'm sort of mixed feelings about this. It sounds interesting, and it can make dogfights a bit more interesting. But it would just make a huge gap between people with them and without. I already feel like I have rocket pod users at my hand when I'm using AB pods. Because I can just run away whenever I want. I can outmaneuver them with the afterburners. And it's just going to create a big imbalance in air-to-air. If you ask me, again, it would sort of need to be sort of scaled up against the new weapons. I have no idea what those will be like. So it might be fine, it might not, I can't say. Existing balance changes. Default cannons. Yeah, normalization of cone fire, that's alright. Time to kill, brought close together, yeah. Clip size increased. More? Why? They could fire for so long already. Don't need more bullets. Rotaries. Single clip. Yeah, that's alright. I can't really decide whether I want this or no one to be able to. I probably just go with this. It's understandable, but alright. Time to kill. Yep, alright. Fall off damage. Yeah, this is pretty understandable. It mainly really affects libs and gals because you can sit in an ESF a couple 100 meters away and just pop shells into them and they can do nothing. So that's reasonable. It doesn't really affect air-to-air for ESFs because it's so hard to hit ESFs at greater range anyway. Empire distinctions. For the Scythe, this seems like a pretty major buff, but I suppose I'm alright with that. Yeah. Re-weapons, yep. And Mozzies, yeah, that's alright. Still certifications. Sounds good. Yep. Fire suppression certifications. I'm not really sure if it needs changing, but sure, you could try. Galaxy stuff. This could be pretty powerful. I mean, an entire squad not needing to leave to resupply is kind of a big deal. You could just have a gal rudder, but it's just having as many ESFs as you want, just all in one place, and they barely have to leave. That seems a bit ridiculous. I mean, with auto repair, you can stay around for long enough already. Just being able to resupply up at the ceiling doesn't really make. It's nice, but it could be quite serious an issue. I don't really know what I'm on about. And last, And in my opinion, the most important thing about this patch is that it's all thoroughly tested. We need to have this on the test server as soon as possible. In my opinion, you're quite late on it already. Well, I'm already late on this, so I'm a bit of a hypocrite. I can understand how the test server's not really been incredibly useful, but I'm pretty much certain that in this circumstance, there are enough people who care about this update to really thoroughly test it and make sure it's all fit to go in. I'll definitely have all my boys on there, and I'm certain there'll be plenty more pilots, because we don't want you to just go and ruin our fun. We really need to test this. There's a couple of things that, in regards to this, that could be done to the test server to help. I would like to see higher resource gains on the test server, because it's just so impractical waiting for it, and as someone who has always pretty much had premium and alpha squad, it's a bit of a shock having so few resources pretty much no matter what. But it just hinders the ability to do what you want to properly test things. You want to constantly be pulling vehicles and stuff just to test different things and different configurations, damages. You shouldn't really be held back at all, ideally, which would be nice. Same thing sort of with certs. 10,000 is a nice amount, but it's still quite limiting when you can really cert into like one thing and a bit into some other things, and if you could just put more certs in, or just recertification so you can test different things on one character, that would just be more practical. None of these things are particularly, well, they're definitely not necessary, but they're just convenient to make us giving up our time for the game more enjoyable. Alright, I think I've covered everything. Pretty much winged it. It's probably terrible, but hooray! Go, don't fuck it up, SOE, please.